there's a conversation that also have been rife, and it's about, if you look at the permutations in terms of the votes coming from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we know that he won by over 61%, and then also Kennedy Agyapong, you take a look at the over 70,000 vote he got, over 110,000 in excess by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The conversation, especially from individuals like Kujo and so forth, who has just joined us, Johnny Kujo as well, is whether we could have Kenny Agyapong and then also the votes that Dr. Bawumia also garnered influencing the NPP's parliamentary candidates in terms of the rates that will be taking place. Because, you know, they have not elected their parliamentary candidates as of yet, but what could be the permutation? So we'll take a look at the regional results and subsequent look at how that could also influence by way of decision-making from the top to the polling station level, because we have the same set of individuals who formed the delegates who participated in this presidential election, going to elect these parliamentary candidates for the NPP for the 2024 race. How is it going to pan out? So we know the individual. So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia got 118,000, and we'll put that on the screens for you so that you also get to know 118,000 as it is. And then Kenny Agyapong got 71,000. I have to say 72,000 invariably. Now, for us, we're looking at the numbers, not necessarily the percentages. So 118,000, a lot of votes. Also, you take a look at 65% in excess by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the Ashanti region, means that he commands a lot of the support base in the Ashanti region as well. But you also tend to look at the way Kennedy Agyapong also performed in some of the constituencies for which we are prior this morning. You have to ask a question. Does it mean that we're going to have a key individual influence in the parliamentary race as well? We'll be joined by Musa Dankwa. Musa Dankwa is Executive Director for Global Info Analytics. But right here in the studio, we have parliamentary candidate for the Okankwe North constituency. He's a former member of parliament for the constituency himself. He's one of the lead for this race for the NPP, if not the lead. And Fuseni Issa is a regular on the show. He was also a party agent, an agent for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at the headquarters. I was speaking to him throughout the rest of Saturday. He was very good to me, I have to say. Always good to me. Fuseni Issa, good morning to you.
Good morning, Roland.
Yeah.
Good to be back to you on the show.
Yeah, great. And then also, Eduji Tamaklo is observing from afar. He's the director for the legal directorate of the NDC, so legal practitioner, the man in white heralding the election of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, so that because now he's going to face John Dramani Mahama, so he's in white, saying that congratulations to you, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And it's also from all of us right here at Media General, congratulate. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Roland. Good morning to Honorable Fuseni, and good morning to your cherished viewers who have been very religious with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mani Nimani says, I should wish Barikisu Kwade and Abednego Bright happy birthday. Good morning to you, Mani Nimani. And then, okay, so as it is, now let's get an insight from first Kennedy Agyapong, because I want us to get an insight because he wants to support the race. How is he going to support the race? And what meaning can we read from his comments in supporting the race and conceding defeat or adding the support to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? And then we hear from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia himself. Now the inserts once again.
The party has been fair and transparent. That is the only thing I've always been preaching. And I must admit, this election is fair. And my grassroots have spoken. And therefore, I accept the results in good faith. I pledge my support that we're going to work tirelessly to break the 8. So, party members that we are here, we should put everything behind us and let's unite this party. For unity, I believe we can break the 8. And I want to assure you, in 2024, the showdown is being translated to NPP. We have to come together and give NBC a showdown.
I am determined to work with all of them and all our supporters to achieve the party's ambition of breaking the 8. There are those who would say that we are divided as a party, but I am here to tell them that it couldn't be less true. The NPP is a thriving democracy where leaders are elected, not anointed. And I salute my fellow competitors in this race for partaking in this crucial process. While our plans may differ at times, our visions are aligned. We share a passion for Ghana and a firm conviction that the NPP is the only party that can transform Ghana. My vision is to build an inclusive, food self-sufficient, data-driven, and systems-based nation that will fully participate in the global digital revolution to resolve our problems and also to usher in a golden age of benefits from our natural resources. When we bring the talents of the youth together, we will surely build a mighty nation. Together, we can transform this nation and do even more in many areas. I therefore invite the youth, particularly the Gen Zs, to join me in this journey of great possibilities.
Well, joining us is Musa Dankwa, Executive Director, Global Info Analytics, was doing the predictions and the permutation, but this, of course, was based on research doing that survey. Good morning to you, Mr. Musa Dankwa.
Good morning, Roland.
Okay, great. Great to have you. So we'll be with you soon, but let me just get an insight. You were an agent for Dr. Bawumia, and Saturday we're having many conversations on what you were picking from the ground, etc. What would you say about his victory in the first place?
Good morning again, Roland. Good morning, Edward. Good morning to your viewers, particularly those, Kakwinov. I want to start by congratulating His Excellency Dr. Bawumia on a victory he chalked on Saturday. I won't limit the congratulations to just him. The other aspirants, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, Honorable Dr. Friye, and then Honorable Adenimo. I think that they showed, and the entirety of the New Patriotic Party showed that we have actually ascribed to democracy. I mean, it's good to be sitting here to be discussing the results rather than incidents, and nobody's patting us on the back for us having close to a national elections with no incidents actually recorded. And I think that this is what we expect of a big party like the New Patriotic Party, and we expect that our friends on the other side of the divide will learn from us, learn and copy. Hopefully, they also get as good as we are. That's what started. As a big political party like the New Patriotic Party, we are still getting ready for election 2024, and we are leaving no stone unturned. We are going through the processes as ascribed by the constitution of the party, and the constitution gives us directions as to what to do and when to do some of these processes, as to when we are in power and when we are not in power, and so far so good. I think that Saturday's elections, it shows the resolve that the New Patriotic Party is actually geared up for elections 2024. The turnout for Saturday was 95%. 95% for close to national elections of this nature. It shows you that the party people are resolved. However they voted, However, they voted. The results are also there. For a first-timer, first attempt at the leadership of the New Patriotic Party, this is probably the biggest margin that a first-timer is shocked. Not to just leave the victory for Dr. Bawumia. I think that the victory is for the New Patriotic Party, and by extension, for Ghana. We have shown that we can do and do it very well. That's what we showed on Saturday.
Eduji, your initial comment, then we kickstart the conversation with Musa Dankwa on the permutations, constituency, regionally.
So the NPP decided to go and elect, among many of them, one of their most incompetent persons. Now, if you look at the overall outcome of projecting Bawumia as the lead, the irresistible conclusion that one comes to is that the NPP has decided to go to a gunfight with a knife. That's the whole issue.
They've decided to go
to a gunfight with a knife.
Which one is the gunfight? 2024?
Exactly.
How
with
so?
a knife. Because you see, Bawumia is taking over as the leader of NPP.
Rightfully so.
From Akufo-Addo. Now, if you look at the two, the Siamese twins, where Akufo-Addo is Bawumia and Bawumia is Akufo-Addo, you can see that the vehicle in which they are driving right into a ditch. But that's their own cup of tea. For us, we are resolved to pitch for every single vote as far as the 2024 election is concerned. We have resolved that there wouldn't be anything like complacency. And we take every threat coming from the NPP with everything that matters to us. As for Akufo-Addo and the things that he said after the declaration, it speaks to a man who is paranoid.
I don't understand.
A man who is afraid of his own shadows. Akufo-Addo had committed crimes against this republic.
What do you mean by his committed crime?
Yes, I'll come there. And he's afraid of accountability. And so the only person that he believes can cover up his sins is Bawumia. And thankfully, the good people of this country who want accountability, who wants Akufo-Addo to account for the 830 billion Ghana cedis that he had gotten by way of the overall financial resource, are determined to bring an end to the Akufo-Addo family hegemony. And that will surely happen on the 7th of December 2024. No doubt. And if you look, I'm sure eventually we'll get the opportunity to interrogate the numbers.
Okay.
Look, if you check the numbers well, you will notice.
Mr. Dankwa will be leaving us at 7:50 up to 8. So please, we have to let him go.
30 seconds. You will notice that the wider the voter population is, the lower the percentage Bawumia obtains. What it tells you is that once you open the numbers, his influence begins to diminish. Because you see, as we speak today, Bawumia is not noted for anything useful, regrettably. And that is the situation where we find ourselves. We'll get the opportunity to interrogate the numbers.
Now, I know that the delegates matter, and this same number of delegates will be electing the parliamentary candidates. Now, you take a look at 65% Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the Ashanti region. It shows that at the hub or the base of the party, his work, his weekly visits to interact with key leaders of the party, delegates, etc., was all not in vain. What does it tell you about the choices that delegates could make in the upcoming election? And then also, with the work that you've already done, who is more at risk and not at risk?
Right. If you look at the numbers that come from Ashanti region, it suggests that most of the MPs would be safe because they probably have been able to secure the backing of delegates who were voting for Bawumia. I think that will pan out. But then the danger for that would be that there are some MPs who may be very unpopular right now in their constituencies. And if they end up electing them, it's going to add to the challenges they will face in 2024. Some of the MPs, in fact, should be allowed to fall on their own swords for the good of NPP. Some of them, if you impose them, if you force them onto the people, it's really going to give you a serious backlash in a number of constituencies. But I think we are too early to start permutating around those numbers right now. But let's wait a little bit and see how to see the dust settle, settle, and then we'll be able to see exactly how this is going to impact the parliamentary races and indeed in the 2024 parliamentary elections.
We're not talking about the general election. We're talking about their parliamentary election.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And their parliamentary, when is the election? This November?
No date.
Yes, I think there's one in December and one in February or so.
Exactly.
Yes. I think the one in December, it won't be that controversial. It is the one in February that will really be the key one for us to watch.
Those are the ones that they already have the seats, right?
Yes.
Now, did the performance of Agyapong surprise you, and why? If you were not surprised, why also?
If you look at our numbers, it shouldn't be surprised, but he was exactly at where we want him to be. If we say he was going to get 20 and he got the number he got, then we'll be surprised. From where we sat, everything was in line, so we weren't surprised. But I think what surprised me slightly was Uchi. We tend to understand the reason behind every number that came through the elections. Up to now, we're not able to understand what was happening in Uchi, and we'll try and get to the bottom of it.
If you look at the announcement that was made by the Electoral Commission, they said only 900 rejected ballots were recorded. That's a bit surprising for a voter population of just a little in excess of 200,000, because it's about around 205,000 or something like that. If you look at the national average,
we don't know the details. We don't know the details of the spoiled ballot. Was it intentionally spoiled? We don't know whether it was just by people who were ignorant about how to vote. And this would have helped us to understand whether people were protesting against the system if they intentionally damaged the ballot, or they were doing so out of ignorance. So I can't speak really about whether it's reasonable or not. We don't know the classification or the nature of that kind of spoiled ballots.
Okay. We'll come back to you and look at how the general performance of the MPs could have an influence so far, so to speak. Now, what was the performance of the candidates in your constituency, Okankwe North, Mr. Husseini? Do you have any recollection now?
Oh, yes. in Okankwe North, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia won, but it was very close. He got 411 votes, and Agyapong got 400 votes. So it's a very tight race. Out of a college of about 830 delegates.
830, you are going to face. You are going to face 830.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not to get personal, so don't take it personal.
It's not. I'm not.
Are you close to Agyapong?
I think that's an unfair question.
All right.
No, he was the campaign manager for Bawumia.
I retract the question. Let me rephrase the question.
Right.
Okay. Do you think that the candidates or the delegates who voted for Agyapong, 400 votes?
400, yeah.
And then your candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the eventual winner.
I'm thinking that we should have a national discussion. Why narrow it down?
I shouldn't go personal.
A constituency.
Okay.
I mean, it gets personal because I am in the race to compete in my constituency.
And you know why?
I forgive you.
You know why Issa will be uncomfortable with that? Because he was the face. He was the face. Hold on. He was the face.
I still think it's very unfair for him. He
was the face of the Bawumia campaign in the constituency. And that is where he's
Roland,
he should be proud about the Bawumia thing. You should be proud about Bawumia.
You've made the comments of Rabbi something.
Okay.
Now, if you take...
He's made it, but it's unfair.
It's unfair.
I should withdraw.
Let's go.
Okay.
Now, if you take such performances, let's say individuals who want to become members of parliament or are already members of parliament. And then you look at, for example, in Napo's constituency, that is Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia got 85% of the votes.
Right. Right.
There was 71% for Joe Osewusu. And then also in excess of over 60-something% for Dr. Yawose Duchum as well. That's so if you take a look at that, it means that you're in control of the delegates. In such situations...
Not necessarily, Roland. If you look at what happened in Greater Accra, it was quite close. In Greater Accra, I was equally part of the DMB campaign. The strategy was that if you were interested in a parliamentary seat, mostly we didn't work in our own constituencies. We had to go to other constituencies to work, just because your popularity, whether positive or negative, could affect the fortunes of the candidate that you're campaigning for. So it was deliberate that we worked outside of our constituencies. Having said that, you see, parliamentary elections and presidential elections are two very different dynamics. Even with the primaries like we just had, the factors that voters are going to consider and going to select a parliamentary candidate will be very different. Because look, in the parliamentary primaries, you are somebody they live with. You are in their faces. They have to assess you on a criteria different from how they're going to assess somebody they probably will never meet, will only see on TV, will only see the person occasionally during campaigns. So the factors are very, very different. Look, some people have lost seats because the allegations were that he probably left his windows on or was not greeting the people and all. And those are not factors that will affect how they are going to vote in the presidential primaries. Then again, if you look at how elections are organized in this country, when there are national elections, the tension, the impact is spread across the country. But you see, when there are parliamentary elections, let's say what happens, that's how come whenever we have by-elections, they tend to be hotspots because everybody congregates there, and then the tension and the activities, level of activities are so high. So there may be some intricacies. Some MPs might have followed a particular candidate, and because of the performance of the candidate, it's probably going to give them some advantage going into the primaries. That's fair. But I believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is not somebody who is going to meddle and try to micromanage the occurrences in the constituencies. Look, we are a party looking forward to breaking the eight. We want to do something that has never happened before in this country. A party going beyond 8 years. It means that our processes will have to be open. They have to be transparent. They have to be fair. And whenever we have gotten this, we have won elections. Look, some people will tell you that in constituencies where there are contests, it makes, because the processes are open up for everybody to get opportunity to compete, it puts the constituency or the candidate in a better state to win election. It is not always true. Sometimes a party has used some other mechanisms to bring out a candidate who has gone on to win elections. So these are case-by-case basis. In constituencies where, when nominations for orphan constituencies were open, there were certain constituencies where we had just one candidate file. Typically, Tema East. We've gone on to do acclamation for the candidate. The candidate is already working. So it's a case-by-case basis. In my constituency, six people actually filed their nominations. The party is going to come in there, do whatever they want, and ultimately we expect that elections to be conducted. But these are processes that will also put some energy in the party within the constituency. So we are looking for a fair, transparent process. We are looking forward to getting candidates who have the capacity to unite the constituencies. And when we do get, it is in the interest of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to get the best parliamentary candidates going into the elections. I am sure that every single member of the New Patriotic Party also wants us to get winnable candidates, candidates who are capable of winning elections. Because look, going into election 2024, a lot of us have said that, look, like the NDC did in 2020, where they more ran a parliamentary campaign rather than a presidential campaign, knowing the product that they had. Knowing the leader and the presidential candidate they had, they concentrated on parliamentary seats, and that also resulted in our performance because they had targeted certain seats and certain specific things happened within the constitution. Typically, then this going into 2020 elections, they had lawyers, they had very prominent people at the coalition center in certain constituencies.
And you people had what?
Because they had targeted and they knew what they were about. We were, should I say, we have mainly run presidential campaigns where the concentration is on the president comes into the constituency. But some of us are advocating, and I hope that our party takes it. Let's run a parliamentary campaign, and for us to succeed, we need about 155 to 160 seats in parliament to win elections, and that's good. That I pray becomes our strategy. It's not something we're going to hide from anybody. We are going to ensure that, look, we first hold on to the seats, the 137 that we have, the 137 plus 1 that we have. We are going to go to look at possible seats because, look, within this electionary campaign, there are seats we lost by very slim margins, 200, by 500, by even up to 2,000 and 4,000. There are seats that you can turn within one electoral cycle. Okay. And so those should be our targets. Our target is what? 150, 160 seats, and then we get the presidency for free. You know why that works better for the NPP than the NDC? Because most of the big constituencies across the country, like Domi Kwabinya is the biggest constituency. Yes. And we stand to do better than the NDC. So by the time we win Domi Kwabinya, if we are able to get a margin of 50,000 votes for the presidential candidate, it means that you will take 10 or even 50 constituencies in other parts of the country to be able to make that sort of 50,000 votes for the presidential candidate. So I pray and I think and I hope that our party strategy going into election 2024 will be parliamentary based, and we can only succeed by getting winnable candidates, and the winnable candidates that we can get, it will be as a result of a fair, open, transparent process, and that is what I believe Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to promote, being the flag bearer and the leader of the party.
So as you come in, for example, in Swami, when we had the majority leader, Agyapong had 389 votes compared to Bawumia's 511. He makes mention of 1,200 you can overturn, etc. In the delegates election, to choose who becomes a parliamentary candidate, that's not a very comfortable. Do you understand the permutation? Yes.
You see, first of all, you know the vice president is all over the place promising everybody the running mate slot. So you have please.
He has not come out. He has not. Why are you doing this? See, it's true. When you're speaking, I love to keep quiet.
Yeah, so you keep quiet. But you have an opportunity to
when you make statements like this, it is very difficult.
So you are saying that his statement is not a statement of fact.
The president has not, and it's not on record. You cannot show.
It's not true.
You don't have any evidence that he's promised anybody a random nature. So why do you say make statements like this?
He said that he has not promised anybody.
You have a situation where the vice president, now the NPP candidate, had promised almost every leading member of the NPP.
Roland, are you going to sit for these statements to go on?
And each one of them...
Roland, you are speculating.
It's not speculating. Oh, please. When you sleep and it rains every day here, when you wake up, won't you see that the floor is wet? Now let me deal with this issue.
Roland, I still hold. I mean, that he is not promising.
So you said he promised what?
This is a strategy.
Napo, Eslowusu, the deputy speaker now, what's the name? Joe Wise. All these individuals. So they were under...
He said you are speculating.
Please, they were under pressure to deliver their respective constituencies. So if you look at Chairman Sabonsu, in fact, after the program, either Joy or Felm or one of them interviewed him and said he's so shocked. He didn't expect Ken to even do 20%.
That's true.
In that constituency. Now, if you look at Napo, he managed to deliver 80 and many other constituencies because of this promise to each one of them. But you see, Roland, I want to read a particular tweet by Dr. Bawumia, and then I'll situate it in my conversation.
When was the tweet?
That was on the 20th of November, 2016.
Okay.
At 10:24 p.m.
You even have the time?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is what he said. You can't tell me that simply because you are a northerner, I should keep you in the office to continue to make me suffer, unquote.
What's this for?
The point I want to make here is that our friends in the NPP, and if you listen to their General Secretary, after the declaration, says, oh, today we have elected a northerner, and even challenged the NDC ignorantly, that the NDC had never put an account, forgetting that Professor Mills is a Fanti. I was thinking that Professor Mills is a Gonja man. Ignorant. But that's even beside the point. If you look, right from 2016, Dr. Bawumia had been using two things in his campaign.
Which is what?
Where he comes from, regionalism, and his religion. Two things, two weapons. So he weaponized the issue of where he is coming from and his religion from 2016. And so if you recall in 2016, one of the things that Bawumia used to say,
no, but Roland, you are signaling me to stop. You allow him to
disrupting.
Yes, I'll be distracted if you allow him to make statements that are unfounded and baseless.
And that
if you allow him to make statements,
the General Secretary did say,
and that
if you allow him, he's saying that Dr. Bawumia is weaponized certain factors that are not true. And so why you allow him to make such statements? I don't really get
because the General Secretary said that it's good they have elected a northerner.
That's aside the point. He is alleging that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has weaponized two factors. That is a lie, because since 2016 he has not.
So you are saying it's a lie.
He came to the
so can you note it
Let
down?
me give you a pen, right?
Then I don't need your pen. I have more than enough.
Behave like the way you behave on Saturday. Okay. Please.
So the
reality is that if you allow such statements to go, then I cannot sit here to allow you to see the thing. Else I'll be forced to walk offside.
No, please don't walk off.
I'll walk offside if you allow such statements to be made.
No. You won't dictate to me. I'm not here to play. You can do that. In fact, I'll be happy.
Hussein is relaxed.
I'll walk off.
No, it's okay. The two of you. Let me set.
No. There are no ground rules.
Yes,
let me make a statement. Let me make a statement. I was at the stadium, and the General Secretary of the party, NPP, JFK, Justin Kodua Frimpong, Frimpong Kodua says that the NPP has also elected a non-Akan or a northerner. Now, that also means that there's an acceptance that where you come from or the region where you come from has become a basis for electing a presidential candidate. In that meaning, in undertaking any analysis, whether it's your opponent or anybody doing an analysis, and indeed, even Mr. Musa Danko and all the posters, they tend to look at where you come from. Even in this country, we've done analysis where you come from to become a vice presidential candidate matters, to the point that even has been made to the benefit of even the current presidential candidates of the NPP. And for that said, can we let cool heads prevail?
I'm surprised that you have allowed him to distract us. It's so unfair.
Please go ahead.
It's not for me to be distracted.
First of all,
but if we're going for it, let me also make a statement, because you invited me because I'm a stakeholder. If you allow such statements, unfortunately, we can leave the program for you.
If you go on with this distraction,
if you allow the statements, we can leave the program for you.
Let me make
and then you can make whatever statements you want. But once I sit here, those statements cannot be made. Cannot be made.
What I have planned, look, I've written it down.
I've laid the preamble for
this. Will stop me.
Please, if you have any rebuttal, note it down.
No, it is not a case of rebuttal.
So what don't you want? So you don't want your opponent to speak?
When I make statements, you go on to ask me to probe whatever statements I made. But you allow him, you only sit here and say, when we are sitting here, and he goes around, he sits here to say that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has promised all leading members of the party a slot for running mate. You
That's
didn't ask him any justification.
That's his
Why
opinion.
wanted a justification?
What is the justification?
That's his opinion.
What
right?
opinion?
Yes.
In his opinion, so he should make a statement and say, my opinion.
Mr. Hussein,
he should state it and
aren't
make it
you
clear
all
that
here to
it is
share
his
your
opinion, but
opinion?
it's not factual.
Okay, so
But you can state, you can rebut by saying that it is not factual. But interjecting and making the program unruly, it's not the way to go. Mr. Hussein, sir.
Let's go.
Please go on.
You see, let me go back. If you recall, not long ago, H.E. John Dramani Mahama, accepted the invitation of the National Chief Imam for the Maulid. Now, when H.E. John Dramani Mahama got to the program, you recall how Bawumia described him, Malam John. What he was seeking to do was to ridicule John Mahama in a typical Islamic Muslim community. He is aware because the event took place not far from his constituency, Fadama.
What's the point? What's the point of it?
That day you were there. So the point I referred to me, I was telling him that it's not that but I was actually the point I am making.
That you have made reference to.
The point I am making is that consistent with the 2016 statement that Mahmoud Bawumia made on the 20th of November 2016 at 10:24 p.m. He said that if you are a northerner and by reason of your work you are making the people to suffer, the people should not allow you to continue in office. This is a statement made by Bawumia. And I am saying that in 2016, one of the things Bawumia did publicly, and the public record is there, is to say that Muslims should vote for him so that on the day of inauguration, there will be a Muslim holding the Quran. This is a matter of public record. Are you denying it?
What is wrong with that?
Good. So I am saying that in those two elections, he weaponized two things: regionalism and religion. Even in the NPP election, internal primaries, you will notice that you will go to a place and then you will tell them that my dad had 17 children, 9 were Christians, the others were Muslim. And that even me, I started off as a Christian. That is why you notice that now people call him Timothy on social media, among other things. Because what he had been doing consistently is to use religion in this, even in the internal NPP politics. And if you look in one of the videos, he actually said the NPP delegates to vote for him so that he will bring Christians and Muslims together and show their unity.
There's nothing wrong with that. As
So
a Muslim,
the point I am making,
as a Muslim.
the point I'm making is that as we speak today, Muslims and Christians in the last 30 years have never fought. They have never fought. We have lived peacefully. What Bawumia is seeking to do with the religious card is to exploit the fault lines that exist between us by way of religion. And it is only very dangerous, terrible politicians with that message who resort to that kind of politics. But you see, the only reason why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will go on that tangent is that Bawumia cannot. And if you look at the internal NPP conversation, there was no campaign message. Except to say that, oh, I am coming from this place. I am so and so. Vote for me. I will continue Akufo-Addo's legacy. The corruption. I will continue. I will do this. I will do that. That has been the campaign message. And let me make this. Let me make this point. Let me make this point. When a man says you continue Akufo-Addo's legacy, is the legacy not part of the corruption?
He never said
Today,
anything.
for the first time, Ismail Yamsen.
But
you know
it's never shaken from the record of this government.
Ismail Yamsen. You know Ismail Yamsen.
But Dr. Bawumia says the record of this government is good.
And he will continue it. Is the record, is corruption not part of the record?
How is that?
For the first time, Mr. or Dr. Ismail Yamsen is saying that when it comes to the corruption fight, he will give Akufo-Addo 4 out of 10. If you have your child going to school and he comes with a scorecard of 4 out of 10, that's failure. It's not even D, F. But that's even beside the point. Today, in 30 years, Ghana is struggling to even get a syndicated loan for cocoa because of the abysmal performance of Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. And this is the record that Bawumia is. So are you saying you're secure? See, 2 months after the new cocoa season.
Let me get to Mr.
Yes, 2 months after the new cocoa season, we cannot secure syndicated.
Do you know why?
Simply because,
you know why?
The international investors, the people who give you the money, are looking for premium. And that's even.
Let me go to Mr.
Musa. Decided to go and move away from the annual syndication that we have been doing. That was the policy of Cocoa Board. That is why they didn't go for the syndication.
So let me so that Musa
from the syndication that we have been doing over the years. This is moving the process forward.
I want to come on this. There has been a suggestion, 30 seconds.
Mr. Musa has to
yes. There has been a suggestion that, the NPP race was fair, blah, blah, blah. And he even said we should applaud them. I have listened to a leading member of the Agyapong campaign yesterday on OKFM make the point that when we saw Agyapong on that stage, making the concession speech, he did that under the direct instruction of the national security. And that there were threats on him that if he doesn't accept, I mean, this is Kennedy. I'll send you the video saying that the only reason why Ken mounted that, and that is why it delayed.
You wish.
If you look, they had planned 4 p.m., but the thing delayed almost into 7 p.m.
So how did you get this info?
No, OKFM.
All right.
Agyapong's own leading member was on OKFM. The reason why he did that there were direct threats from the national.
We have to get one with the rep. As you leave us, you look at what the issues are. Is religion going to play a role in making a decision where you come from? So now we know that the Northern candidate has been elected, has been said. Is it going to have an influence on voters, etc.? You tend to take a look at that.
Yeah, luckily, we've been looking at this data for some time. We stopped looking at that data somewhere last year, but we'll start again in the subsequent polls. As I don't know if people who have followed me, I've said that if Bawumia is the candidate, then religion will be a key issue in this election. And also, if he is the candidate, ethnicity will be another key issue in this election. You have an election where the top 2 tickets will be from the northern sector of the country. What does that do to motivation in the South? What is in there for the South? I mean, that has been the question that we need to answer. The polling numbers going forward will show. Will the running mate from the South galvanize the South enough to offset for the apathy that will set in? This is something that we're going to look at going forward. Religion, yes. This is the first time we have Muslim and a Christian running on the top ticket, frankly. And believe me, there are those who will vote for people because they are Muslims or because they are Christians. As to which number would outweigh the other is only the polling numbers that will show. So we will not sit here and speculate today, but as time goes on, these numbers will come out.
It is possible, right, that if you are a Muslim and you have a presidential candidate, it will endear you better to that candidate. Is that not true? Even if you're not a supporter of that party, right? And
yes, I mean, there are those,
and why would that play a role?
There are those that will be influenced by that. But in the case of NPP and the NDC, let me make something clear. As somebody who has lived and grew up in Zongo, the NDC vote from Zongo is not based on the religion of the candidate.
Please say that again. I didn't hear you.
The NDC vote that they got from the Zongo community does not depend on the Muslim candidate. They've never given Muslims a candidate, but they've always won most Muslim votes.
Why?
That is the bottom line.
Why?
I think it goes back to 1969, and people tend to put their heads in the sand and pretend it didn't happen. The 1969 Aliens Compliance Order that was issued by Bawumia in 1969 affected people in the zone communities, and they are still holding grudges against NPP for decades. And that has been the bane of NPP in the Muslim communities. It's not the religion. It is not. So, and I think over the years, that sentiment has gone down a bit, but it still plays a key role in why NDC does well in the Muslim communities.
During the campaign, Dr. Bawumia did say in many of the areas where he had the arguments to make, where we had Zongo communities, northern caucuses, that John Dramani Mahama is from the north, the NDC gets the votes from northern Ghana. He's coming to cancel that out. And we know that when that is brought up as playing the religious and then the ethnic card, it becomes a very thorny issue. But is this something we should run away from, or how should we deal with that? Should we get emotional about it, or is it just a fact?
I think we should get smarter in handling it. There's no doubt it's going to play a role. Not even, look, even among the northern themselves, the northerners, they don't see themselves as equal. Look, there are dynamics in the north that we need to understand very well. I mean, you can pretend that, oh, it's not about north and south. Even within the north, there are differences. I have did my service in the northern region, so I know that region very well as well. So I understand the dynamics. So some of these things, you really need to rely on data rather than speculation. I think going forward, we have our eyes on some of these things. And once the data becomes available, we can speak to them. But
okay.
At the moment, the polling numbers doesn't look very great for Bawumia. It has a lot of work to do in the north.
Okay, you mean within that caucus, the religious, the Muslim religious, and then the northern caucus?
Yes, yes.
Why is that? Apart from the aliens compliance order, why is that in the Fourth Republic?
Look, I really can't tell, because having spoken to the voters to ask them the reasons why they're not voting for NPP or they prefer NDC. Maybe going forward we will do so. But until we have done that, we can't put any figure in there. I don't want to speculate.
Okay.
On air without having data to back it. But maybe it's an angle we should be looking at going forward and asking people why they're not voting for A or B. Is there any religious ethnicity or other factors that we don't know?
You're truly
but the bottom line is that people are going to vote on the issues that affect them today: economic issues, job issues, education, and corruption.
All right.
Now, when the race becomes tighter, that is where the religion and the ethnicity will play a role. But when you are hungry, it doesn't matter which tribe you come from.
All right. My last question then is, during the campaign, we saw Kennedy Agyapong, when he went to some of the areas, let's say in the Akan regions, or even he traveled out, he said there was the argument being made by Dr. Bawumia in the areas he went about where he comes from, etc. And so why is it that an Ashanti or an Akan, that argument should not be made? Why was that an issue for him? Why do you think so, that he was pressing the buttons on that issue? And could it become an issue in making the argument or influencing votes for either the parliamentarians or also for the general election?
You know, when you are running an internal campaign, I mean, certain things get said and get done just to win the vote. And I think if you understand Kennedy, he was trying to say that if the Northerners are preferring their own, why can't the Akans prefer their own? And he knows that the Akans outnumber the others in the party by, I think, 6 to 4 or thereabout. So if that was the argument he was trying to make, I think we're just trying to win vote with that. Beyond that, we have to manage that going forward as a country. We don't need to be pressing that button, even though it plays a role, but we need to keep it as low as possible.
Thank you very much. Musa Dankwa, Executive Director, Global Info Analytics. I took extra 60 minutes of your time. Thank you very much. And then certainly you have to say that you're a Muslim, so you and I have had conversations off record about how, and then I grew up in Ashaiman, so I know how if you're a Muslim or you're of a minority and we have just in excess, 30% in excess, it becomes an issue. There's that vulnerability also in our society, and then also. But is it an issue, or should it be an issue, do you think, as a politician?
You see, Roland, when I go into elections, I go into elections as a person, and who I am cannot be hidden and should not be hidden in the elections, because it is what I am. And the issue of religion, look, I am a Muslim. My grandfather was here in 1969. And 1969 is 54 years ago. Anybody who lived through 1969 should be at least 54 years. Musa speaking there, Musa Dankwa. You know his name is Dankwa. He's a Muslim. But he's an Achim. I am a Muslim. But I am not Australian Northerner. Right. So there are permutations that will come to play in all of these things. The fact that you hear somebody's name does not make the person name. But look, as a nation, I think that we should move away and try to, that is what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is trying to do. My mother was born a Presbyterian. That side of my family are Presbyterians. It doesn't spoil anything, right? We get on really well, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's not a case. So when somebody is showing that face, I think that it should be encouraged rather than discouraged. You see, this whole thing came to play when days to the 2016 elections in Laura, ex-president John Dramani Mahama, in his speech in Laura, had told Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that, look, the NPP are going to use you to win elections and dump you. He has said that, or it's on record, and a video abounds. The NPP today has shown that we are way beyond the rhetorics of the former president, and that we will do the right when the time comes up. At this material time, we have selected Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia because we think whatever he is, despite his religion, his ethnicity, he is the best candidate for our party and for this nation, Ghana. And that's a decision that we have made. Whether he's Muslim, he's not, what has been said in the past is behind us. We're going to win it. Look, a country like Senegal, when you go to Senegal, the population is 95% Muslim. Macky Sall today, the president of the nation, he's Christian. He belongs to the minority, 5%, but he's Christian. John Dramani Mahama himself, if you look at ethnicity, Gunjes are not the majority. When it comes, they are not a majority tribe. But he's been president before. So, Jerry John Rawlings, he comes from a minority, but he's been president before. So, what is the problem here? It's for us to see ourselves as a unitary state. It's for us to see ourselves as who best serves the interest of the nation at this particular time. And that's a decision that we have made. We are going to stay by it. We are going to reach out to every possible voter, irrespective of their religious inclination, irrespective of their tribal inclination, irrespective of even their political inclination. Because we think that we have given Ghana the best candidate at this material time who will lead Ghana to the promised land. And you should hear what certain Christian leaders have said. Christian leaders have said about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia because they have that proximity. Unfortunately, not every Ghanaian is going to have the opportunity to experience it firsthand like the way some of us and some of those Christian leaders have. His is to build bridges. His is to unite everybody despite their religious, tribal, whatever inclination. And that is the job he's set to do within the next 12 months. Okay. He is going to pursue that. He's going to push that forward, and we are going to break the 8 in Ghana. Right. Despite what they
you could have just waited and said this in response to Edigi. So my question then, please. So my question then to you is, when Edigi makes the position that he espouses, what is wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it.
What I find difficult is that he is trying to paint or put Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in a picture that he does not fit in.
How so?
How so? Because look, I was at this Maulid that all of a sudden has become very topical.
The Maulid is just an example he made because
it's just an example he made.
Statement he made.
I have given you a date.
The statement he makes is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia played in the run-up or within the period.
I'll tell you what happened.
Played a tribal and regional.
I was president at that Maulid event.
Please. Played a tribal, regional, and religious card, and that we had coexisted as one people. There was nothing wrong with it.
He never played any card. When he's been presented, he's presented himself as a northerner, as a Muslim that he is. At the Maulid event, what happened was that John Dramani Mahama had just given his speech, And then he had gone on to recite the first chapter of the Quran.
That's John Dramani Mahama.
Yes, Fatiha. And it was, for me, it was surprising that he could even recite the Quran like he did.
But John Dramani Mahama's father is a Muslim?
No.
Or was not?
No.
Okay. Did he have any of his wives being Muslims?
No. No, they have
his wives. How many wives does he have?
No, I mean, GM's father.
GM's father. But GM's father was never Muslim.
I'm asking.
How comes? I thought some of his brothers are Muslim.
Yeah, they are. That's why I'm asking. I'm asking
Similar.
that.
You see, it just puts this whole argument in there, right? Because look,
No,
I have
that's why I'm asking the question. That's why I'm asking the question that, for example, I have a friend in northern Ghana. I won't mention his name. He has children. The children of his first wife are Muslims. Presumably, the first wife at the time they were married was Muslim and he was a Christian. Do you understand? So if you come to his home, he has Muslim children and then he has Christian children. So it lends credence to Eduji's argument that we've never really had a problem with being Muslim or Christian in one community. So the argument he makes is the argument he makes is that if the vice president makes that a point or an argument in canvassing for votes, that is playing religious tribal cards.
How is that?
On regional cards.
How is that? Okay. This is a vice president who avails himself to all groups and everybody. If you want to see the vice president, you want him to partake in the press, he's not going to ask about your religious inclination before, right? But it's also fair that when my name is mentioned, the presumption is that I'm Muslim. Yeah. I'm Muslim, and so there is that sort of rapport.
So you don't have to say it and try to.
And he has.
That's what Kennedy Agyapong was complaining about.
He has not said it. That's what Kennedy is. I want to look beyond the internal elections and things that were said. So I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not going to allow myself to be put into that angle. What I'm saying is that
Muslim, so that's not in dispute.
What I'm saying is that in the run-up to the 2016 elections in Laura, President John Dramani Mahama had told Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that the NPP are going to use you and dump you because you are a Northerner. He has sent a message in a campaign.
And now the NPP has
shown that we are bigger, better, could look beyond that. And so this time the NDC is still pushing. I was trying to talk about the incident that happened at the Maulid. He had recited the chapter, the Fatiha, as we know.
You are explaining
as we know. And it was kind of interesting. So when it was a turn of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he said, well, I'm impressed about my brother's ability. Maybe it is time for him to come and join us as Muslims. That's the essence of what he said.
Do you think he should have said that?
Oh, but I'm thinking that it was an Islamic program. The chief imam was seated
when he has brothers as Muslims and even is the mother Muslim?
Yes, a Muslim.
Yeah. So, do you think he should have said that?
It was
because John Mahama may not necessarily be new to
it. It was humorous. It was never no malice or whatever was intended.
You were just joking.
But
it was a bad joke.
I didn't even think that we should look at it in that light. But typical of our brothers on the other side. Now that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been given the opportunity, they are going to find at every opportunity to get back at him on this point.
Right.
But I think that is smooth. I think that a lot of Christians see the good in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and so it is not going to wash.
Okay, Nilate says you are struggling to explain and justify your anger earlier.
You see, let the point be made. In fact, I've received additional information as to the father of GM, the religion he practiced, the mother as well, who comes from Busunu, suggesting that...
Tell us, was his father Muslim? Or?
They are both Muslims.
Okay.
You understand. But as you are aware, GM is a member of the Assemblies of God Church, and that's quite notorious. What is not
What's notorious about it?
That he's a member of the Assemblies of God. I mean,
it's not
in terms of the
How
fact.
can it be notorious?
It's a notorious fact. I mean, calm down.
As you can get.
You see, you ask him a very instructive question. JM's association with the Muslim community is one that has been built not on a fluke, but over a long period of time. So it is one that has been built on the basis of trust and mutual respect. And so, when the respected National Chief Imam invited him, the whole idea by Bawumia was to downplay and mock GM.
With the comment.
With that comment.
Malam
John.
Okay.
And I am saying that it is part of the political strategy of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia to weaponize two things, regionalism and religion. And if you recall,
not true.
Agyapong repeated the same thing.
True.
Now, I think it's important to make this point.
Yeah.
Our friends are making a...
You have 60 seconds.
Yes.
Interestingly,
our friends are making a lot of noise about, oh, NPP has elected an ordinary.
Which is true. And none can.
Let the record be clear. It is simply because Akufo-Addo felt that the only person who can provide him cover and protection is Bawumia. Nothing more, nothing.
Not because they want to elect a non-account.
And that is why, if you notice historically, when in 2007, President Kufuor had the benefit of supporting Allen, his vice, who was a Muslim, Ali Muhammad, never got a slot. So it is Akufo-Addo's personal wish for Bawumia to take over from him. That is what, and that is why it has been said that Bawumia is the establishment candidate.
But delegates voted for Dr. Mahamudu.
No, you see, if you extrapolate the delegate structure, look at Agyapong, without the benefit of the establishment, you see the actual vote of no confidence in Bawumia. But if you pick it and you reverse ministers, deputy ministers, DCEs, constituency executive, in fact, look at the
when you do the deductions, it's almost over 40,000.
Absolutely, and these are the numbers, and that's the difference between
Master Planner Junior Kentaba. You are done. No.
30 seconds.
No. See, my director.
30 seconds.
You wanted us to believe.
You know the Zongo ministry.
Do
you know why the Zongo ministry?
Made up of appointees of the government.
Hold on. Do you know why the Zongo ministry was scrapped?
No.
If you in 2020. Mustafa Hamid, now CEO of NPA, I'll send you the video, said no president can ever scrap the Zongo ministry. You remember?
Yes. That's a public instance.
Good. After the 2020 election result, Dr. Bawumia, together with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the Siamese twins, lost overwhelmingly in the Zongo community. Out of annoyance and anger, Akufo-Addo decided to scrap
it is not
the Zongo
true.
ministry.
It is not true.
And I have
Let me explain to you.
Thank you.
Once a president has a free hand to create ministries
Master Planner,
and departments as he
let me
thinks
read.
necessary,
I am done.
unlike the Zongo Development Fund, which is imbibed in
Not
an
the fund.
act,
The ministry.
it is still in existence.
The ministry.
And the ministry,
He
a
scrapped the
president
ministry.
at any point
He
in
was
time
so
can
angry.
create a ministry
Akufo-Addo was
But the
so
fund
angry.
is in existence.
So the fund is right
No,
in
it's not the
existence.
fund.
He didn't have a chief
At that
executive.
time, the fund was there, but
Master Planner Kintampo.
Out of annoyance.
Even your party-
Please mute their mic.
The president can
Okay,
create
your
a
microphones
ministry.
are off.
A ministry.
All this shouting is not. No. Master Planner Junior Kintampo, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia will beat ex-president John Mahama not because of his religion or ethnicity, but competence. Simple and tietia. Brakweku also replies, go and watch a streaming live. It's already looking like you have lost. So we have a lot of them. And then John Bosco Akotia says, please tell the Honorable Musa to keep quiet. He's being disruptive. He should look at the way Eduji is behaving and responding. Imelda Nassar says, Eduji, you've said it all. Samira Ajete says, lawyer, finish him. Now, we have this one from Edward says, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is building a new Olympic stadium for Ghana for us to have the Africa Games. What is Eduji talking about? Now, I have said it over and over again that the most difficult job in Ghana today is to defend the NPP. That's Prudential Livingston. Now, we encourage you to cash out. You wanted to say something, or you want to say something? Let me read this one from Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona.
I'm inviting you this morning at 10 exactly. GM is meeting the Trade Union Congress. Come.
Okay. So, Bernard Mona says, my children are Muslims. So, what is my good friend Fuseni Issa talking about? We should stop playing this card. Now, Hajia Loratu says, is Eduji for real? If NDC is run on the personal wishes of individuals, the NPP is not going to be run like that. Good morning, Paparo, Hajia Loratu. And then we will do, we're doing, is that, Jifa Gunu says, tell Fuseni that is a physical example of Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia's performance in the Zongo communities. All right, so we have a couple. Let's cash out. Let's cash out. As we cash out, Julius Agawa and Tahiru Aswanse. Dr. Bawumia said he has his vision, which is palpable false. Now, let's do 2, 1, cash out. And the number winning is 053-4391. Are we doing a second one? We're not doing a second one. Let me read a last one coming from Kakri Samwa. By electing Dr. Bawumia as their presidential candidate, the NPP has shown clearly that they do things just to spite people. John Mahama said Bawumia wouldn't be selected. So they went ahead to choose him, not because of any innate ability of Bawumia. Well, the delegates have spoken, I believe, in the interest of... yes, our own Kakra Samwa. Well, we're taking a break. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to the two of you as well. Money, and the rest. Sadiq, Abubakar, all of you.